The Magicians Podcast, brought to you in association with the Magic Circle.
And I've actually had people that I considered friends say stuff on Facebook in public forums within like 2 weeks of it being on. And it just makes you go, oh, I thought we were friends and you've done that, and you just reevaluate things. But hey, that's life, isn't it?
Yes! Hello, my friends. Welcome to a new episode of the Magicians Podcast. In the hot seat today is Magic's newest star, Ben Hanlin. This interview is a really open and candid one. You will not regret investing an hour of your time in this interview. If you haven't done it already, do follow us on Twitter. We are at Magician Podcast. No S on the Magician. If Facebook is your vehicle, then search for our Facebook page, which is very simply The Magicians Podcast. Go there now and give us a like if you haven't done it already. Ben Hanlin is only 28 years old. He has an incredible career behind him already, including multiple television appearances and the biggest one of all being his own series on ITV2. Not just one, two. It got recommissioned. So, I went and met Ben at the ITV studios. He's a very busy man. I was absolutely delighted that he agreed to do this interview, and I have to thank Martin Rowland for arranging it. Martin was one of Ben's consultants on the TV show, and of course you will know him as the genius behind one of our main sponsors, Gigio. Here he is then, for your entertainment pleasure, very open, very candid, Mr. Ben Hanlin. So here we are with Ben Hanlin, star of Tricked from ITV2. How are you, Ben?
I'm good, thank you. A little bit nervous, actually.
Really? Why?
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to ask me. And
I've got it all planned. Don't
Okay.
worry, I've been doing my research. Birmingham boy. You live in London now?
Live in London, South East London, yeah.
And you just got married?
Married in May, yeah.
Very good. So life is pretty good at the minute.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good.
Great. I want to talk about actually your upbringing because you've had it. First of all, how old are you at the moment?
28.
You're 28 years old.
Yeah.
And you grew up in Birmingham. Tell me a little bit about your journey into magic.
Yeah, so my relationship with magic changed, really. I got into it. I won't give you the story that I tell press and TV people. I'll tell you the actual true story. I got into it from a friend of mine. We were actually at a golf club together called Stephen Seaborn, and he got it really into Blaine. And then because he was really into it, I started getting really into Blaine. And we used to go to a place called the Juggling Shop in Selly Oak in Birmingham. If anyone's been to Birmingham University, it's just around there. And we used to go there religiously twice a week. They used to open late on a Friday, and when we got to 17, he could drive, so we used to drive there. And people who used to work there were Anthony Waldron, who then has been an exec producer at Objective for 10 years. And he started off there. And then another guy called Russ Irwood, who was a great juggler, magician, who then has consulted on other TV things. So out of this tiny little shop, the three of us have kind of ended up doing TV stuff. So anyway, I did all that. And I just, did the normal path that every magician does. Did it in school, did it to friends and family, started gigging, had a residency, and I did all that. And I consciously said I didn't want to do it as a living. Went out to university, it paid for me through uni, got a proper job, or a couple proper jobs, and then realised, actually, my hobby is way more fun. Let's take the risk, in a way, of trying to do my hobby as a job to see if I'll still like it.
What were the proper jobs?
Proper job, chartered surveying or training
really?
chartered surveying. Yeah, I wanted to be I wanted to really be a property developer. So invest in property, develop it, because I thought that seemed to sound like the most fun you could have at a proper job.
So that's what you did at uni?
Yeah, and I went and worked for a company called Knight Frank, who are a fairly big partnership company. And then I went to sales for a recruitment company, for a FTSE 250 company. And it was good, it was all right, but I just figured if I was going to do something every day for 40 years, why not try and have a bit more fun with it? And play to my strengths, really, because a lot of other people could do what I was trying to do there and less people could do magic. So that was the goal. So I started off about 5 years ago being full-time, and it was my only source of income. I remember I quit my sales job, and I sat day one in my flat going, how am I going to pay the rent? And I had to learn a street act, so I'd go to Stratford upon Avon and street perform because I had to pay the bills. And I'd do I'd already been gigging, but so I had a rough client base. So I'd do weddings, corporates, that kind of thing. And then after a couple of years of that, I realised I wanted a little bit more from magic. I didn't want to just have to be gigging all the time. I wanted to see if I could look at the TV world side of it because it interested me, and made that conscious effort, made some YouTube videos, and ended up making tricks. So that's it in a short story.
That's brilliant. So your YouTube channel was Magic Boy TV.
Yes.
And was it always... So you've gone down the road... Is it fair to say you purposely went down the road of getting celebrities involved to get good hits on your YouTube channel?
That was part of it. So Magic Boy TV was my YouTube channel, and it basically came from the thought process. And it was, to be honest, Dynamo was kicking about then, and I definitely noticed him, and I thought, okay, well, if that's my competition there, Dynamo, can I offer something different? And if I couldn't, then there's no point in even reaching. And I felt like I could. I'm not going to say better, I just think me and him are very different. I didn't know much about telly, I still don't, but I did think if I was a TV person, if somebody said to me, put me on telly, I'd want to see at least something they've done before. So if I could make my own version of TV and at least send it to people, at least I'd have some more of a chance than having nothing. It was a little bit better than nothing. So the motivation for Magic Boy TV was that. But what was really interesting is in my opinion, most magic shows are always essentially a bunch of tricks. That is what a magic show is. It's the beginning, trick, end. And I wondered if you could use magic to have a story or a journey. So the premise that I came up with was that I believed, and this was with Facebook and Twitter, which were getting really big 4 years ago, and they weren't anywhere near as powerful as they are now. And I'm genuinely intrigued by all that. I found that really fascinating. I thought, right, well, could I use social media to have access to people that I never normally could, which you can now. I could find out pretty much from using Twitter and Facebook well. I could use 6 degrees of separation and other live feeds to figure out exactly where celebrities are at any point, then try and track them down, try and get face to face with them, and then do a magic trick with them within 24 hours. That was the goal. And I was also a real big fan of Man vs. Food at the time, which is a brilliant TV show. And what I like about it, and this is again what I thought, so what that does is that story of can I do this gives us now a story to play with. And you can use magic as the currency. So I would use magic to blag my way free food or free lifts or to get into places. So magic was the currency that allowed me to go on this journey. That was the plan. It would have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And what I liked is, as I watched Man vs. Food, I like the ending. The magician doesn't always have to win. And I think we always get really stuck on this as magicians. We always think that the magician has to be the smartest person in the room and has to be completely faultless. But in this show on YouTube, some weeks I would do all of that. I'd go through all this effort, I'd do a bunch of magic on the way, and I just wouldn't get to the celebrity I was trying to get to.
How was that received when you would put a video up with the challenge? Were the comments on your YouTube, were they disappointed that?
Well, a little bit, yeah. So the classic episode, I think it was episode 3, was so the first episode I got Fern Cotton. The second episode I got Michael McIntyre, and that was quite funny. I stopped him physically in his car, got him to wind down the window, and I did a book test with his book through the window of his car.
Oh, wow, that's great.
And it was proper guerrilla, like literally just 2 lads and a camera, didn't know what we were really doing. And the third episode was Stephen Fry. And what's really interesting, within 15 hours of starting off saying, so basically the premise was, I'm going to find Stephen Fry, tell everyone you know on social media, and let's see if we can get this message to him, and let's see if he'll arrange to meet me within the end of the day. And he did find the message straight, like he got it within like 8 hours. He was reading about what I was doing because someone sent him an email. And his PA, who's also his sister, very posh lady, phoned me up and said, I understand what you're doing. He's on the set of a film at the time. And they said, we understand that you're outside the studios of this film trying to get in. Stop what you're doing now, because we have alerted the assistant director of the film, and if you step on set, we will call the police.
Brilliant.
And she didn't know I was recording that phone call. I was recording it. So it was basically, I had to stop it, and it was a failure, and I said, I've lost, haven't done it this week. But in a way, that failing made the other episodes more valid. So you kind of needed that, really. And I think I didn't care, because I'm honest and saying, look, I'm just a normal guy and I couldn't do it, and I didn't really. But you're right. Some people are a bit disappointed because it's always better to have a celebrity on it than not
course.
on it, because
Yeah.
it helps, because it's better for people to go, wow, did you see that with
So
him?
how quickly did the audience grow with this?
So, like, actually, Anthony Owen referenced this, didn't he? I think on his episode of this, which I listened to, which was very good, by the way.
Episode 6,
Episode
Anthony
6.
Owen, you can look it up.
Yeah, you should definitely listen to that. And he mentioned it, and he was spot on with what he said about Magic Boy TV. Was it didn't get millions of views. You know, you look at people like Kayla Morelli or Darcy Oak or James Moore, and they get millions of views. I've had hundreds of thousands now. You know, not loads. But the goal was really clear. I thought I only need 500 people to watch it if those 500 people work in TV. So I'll give you an example. When we did the Michael McIntyre video, I got it on YouTube, and I ended up, just through a bit of blagging and cold calling and all that, sending it to Michael McIntyre's agent and about 10 other companies that work with Michael McIntyre the next day, and said, you might want to be interested in this guy that you work with, look what I did to him yesterday. And as a result of that, an exec phoned me up about 3 hours later, completely out of the blue, and said, just seeing what you've done, this is a little bit interesting, I've not seen a magician do this, come in for a meeting. And that's how it started, really. It was more just...
Wow.
And then eventually I got a manager off the back of it, which was really hard to get management, but I got a manager, and he saw the same thing, and he said, there's something in this, I don't know what it is, but there's potentially something in it. And then ITV got wind of it, and about 2 years later, after about copious amounts of meetings and coffees and development, it ended up turning into Tricked, really. I mean, I did pitch it first, and then that got knocked back, and then we ended up making it.
So how much rejection is there before you... I mean, don't get me wrong, you've had the dream day that all magicians want, which is the phone call that says, it's happening.
No,
Like
right. This is a common myth, right? That phone call is, the phone call of going, we're going to make you a star, kid. It never comes.
All right.
Right, so this is the phone call, right? The phone call is this. Hey, I'm a manager. Can I maybe have a meeting? I might be interested in you. So that's like, okay, all right. So you do that. Then a couple of phone calls later, that manager signs you, hopefully, or rejects you, as most of them do. And then you have about 50 meetings with a load of TV execs about shows. And then you whittle them down to making up a show, which is essentially sees itself in a 2-page document, which is the premise of your show. That you then go into a pitching meeting to a commissioner. And then you expect, right, they're going to go away and think about it. You expect the next phone call to be a yes or a no. But the next phone call is, right, we've got to jig some numbers around, so we'll come back to you in 6 weeks. Another phone call. Right, we'll give it another 3 months. Can you change these points? Okay. Yeah, we quite like it, actually. We're going to go away and run numbers. Okay, right. The next phone call. Yeah, we could do this. And the big phone call is, right, I tell you what, let's do a pilot. And if that doesn't go well, we won't make it. So it's all like everyone's trying to protect themselves.
Yeah.
So you then make the pilot, and then you have to do the same process again, change this, do that, and eventually they go, yeah, we might be able to do this in the next few months, yeah. And then eventually you go, is that a yes? And they kind of go, okay, can you start tomorrow? And you go, okay. So it's never, and even when you make it, it could get pulled off the air at any point. So it's.
But you were banging on a lot of doors, weren't you? That's the difference, isn't it? That is the real difference.
I think. Do you know what? I think it was banging on the doors, but with the right door. Like I say, having a manager. If you want to be considered in TV, that would be my massive bit of advice. Get management, because.
And so, how do you go about the process?
Okay, so let's just explain start from the beginning. What a manager does is, first of all, he takes 15% of what you earn. Now, I know a lot of magicians are going to switch off now because we hate delegating and giving away our money, because we're creatures that love to do everything ourselves. But he'll take 15% of whatever he gets you. So don't worry, he's not going to start taking 15% of your weddings you're going to be doing. But it's so he's, and if you imagine, he's going to get you your break in TV. Taking 15% of that actually isn't much. But his interest is, well, if you become the next Dynamo, or if you evolve into the next Stephen Mulhern or Dermot O'Leary or whatever you end up doing, and he's getting 15% for the next 15 years, it works. So do
you sign a long-term contract?
3-year I did.
Right. Okay.
But it's not it's not like signing your soul to the devil. It's not like a music thing. It's basically saying, and it's right for him. He's going, look, these things take years. If after 2 years I get you tricked and then you leave me on day 1 to go somewhere else, I don't want you to do that. But what managers often do is that, if you don't make them money within a year, they'll probably drop you. So what I did is I phoned up pretty much every manager in London. And I said, look, I've looked on your website. You take actors, you take comedians. You don't have any magicians. Do you want one? And most of their response is, well, there's no work for magicians, so no. Because the way most managers work is they have phone calls come in, and then they put their talent to the job, like any event agency, really. But if you have an unusual act, what you have to do is go out and proactively go for meetings. So it's a lot more time consuming. A lot of them said no. To the point where I found objective talent, because I'd been in for meetings with them and I had stuff potentially to work with them. They kind of said no, and I was kind of a bit of a loss. And actually, it was my uncle's in the Stereophonics.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I was sitting with him, and he's never ever helped me out ever, because he's always come up and said, "You got to do this on your own." And he could see that I was properly, a bit of a stumbling block. And he said, "I've got this one guy used to work in the music industry. He now works." And he represents presenters. So he represents Max Rushton from Soccer AM and a few other presenters. And he put me in contact with him. This guy's called Andy, my now manager. He watched some of my stuff. We went in for a meeting, and he got it. And he went, I get it. You're not Dynamo. You're not trying to be Dynamo. There's appetite for something other than Dynamo. And I kind of see where you're going. Let's see if I can help you with it, really. So I signed a 3-year deal with him. And then his job was straight away to then go, right, so now you've got a manager. What you then need to be lined up with is a production company. So I make Tricked with ITV Studios, which is fortunate because they're one of the biggest production companies in the country, if not the world, really, because they sell things globally. But what his job is, he will say, right, there's hundreds of production companies in London. Looking at what you do and where you want to be, we look at the channels you might be on. So it might be E4, might be ITV2, might be ITV1. Which production companies have the best relationships with them? So there's about a dozen or so. I go for meetings with them, and then what you hope is that those production companies also see a potential in something, and then you start working up ideas. So you might have 4 or 5 production companies, each working up a couple different ideas, and you eventually then take them to a channel. So that's kind of the reason you need him, is also to protect yourself. I don't know the industry, and I don't know if us magicians, we think we're right all the time, and sometimes you need somebody else who's got a vested interest to say, just relax, this is going to be okay, no one's ripping you off. No. So that was the process, and he took me to ITV Studios. When I was just about to go out to LA, I did an episode of Magic Boy TV out in LA, and ITV Studios said, right, when you get back, we'll chop this up, we'll turn this into a show, and we'll pitch it. And that's how the conversations got started.
Wow. So when you get this offer to make a pilot, I think you said, did you get to choose your magic consultants and the people involved in the show, or is it really you not in control right from that point?
Look, I think every magician and TV magician has a different relationship. So there's no hard and fast way of doing it. The way in which Darren operates with his team, Dynamo, Troy, me, we all have different relationships. My relationship was very much, I was in it from day one. So sometimes what happens is a channel will come up with a magic show, the commissioners will love it, and then go, right, now let's find the magician. Whereas sometimes they'll go, we found a magician, let's find him a vehicle for the show. Yeah. So I was fortunate that because I'd got in first and they backed me, I had a bit more control.
Right. Because
essentially they knew that they wanted me on the channel, so if I wanted to walk away, they couldn't make the show. But I never really played that card because it's not really conducive. But there was respect there, and it came from what was really clever, what was really useful. Was that when I pitched the show originally, I went in with Paul Cook, who is a brilliant consultant, and he consulted for Dynamo. So he'd just come off the back of Dynamo, which is hugely successful. And the way in which TV people work is all about managing their risk, like any investment company. So Tricked costs £1.2 million to make per series. So if I'm sitting there in a meeting with somebody who's about to give me £1 million, they need to realise that their money's not going to go down the drain. So anything you can do to soften that risk is a bonus. So with Paul Cook, I could go into the meeting with him and go, trust us, the magic department's going to be good because we've got him on board and he did Walking on Water.
Right, yeah.
So it helps them go, right, we're not just giving this kid £1 million, we're giving a team of people this money. And as crude as that sounds, I'd feel better giving my money to a group of people than somebody who's never done it before.
Sure.
So that was important. And then off the back of that, me and Paul talked, and we eventually got Nigel Meadin and Martin Rowland. And then
Why did you choose those two in particular?
so the brief for Tricked is actually quite difficult. So and we've tried it in the past. So the brief for Tricked is you have to have done telly before, pretty much. That's not essential, but it cuts a lot of time out. You have to do comedy because we want it to be funny. So it's somebody who gets a comedy rhythm, which is actually very different to just writing street magic. Because writing a trick is one thing, but making it engaging and funny in our context. And then the third thing is they had to understand hidden camera and pranks. And a lot of people go, I understand them. And you can understand it or you can really love it. And for me, Martin and Nigel, and our series producer Andy, who was brilliant because he'd done a lot of hidden camera, we all had the same sense of humour. So straight away, you're on board. I mean, actually, I hope he doesn't mind me saying, we also brought in, at times, we have the odd day of consulting, we brought in Richard McDougall, who's amazing. He's brilliant. And I'd never met him, and Martin and Nigel spoke extremely highly of him, and he came to help me with a few things. And I think his view was that he wished the show the best, but he just didn't feel that the show was quite right for him. It wasn't really a show that I don't think that he would naturally... I actually haven't spoken to him in length, but what I'm saying is it's not every... Unless you love the type of show you're working on, there's no point in working on it, because then it's a job and you're not really in it. And it was great that he said that, because you end up going, okay, that's great. Well, he was still able to have conversations and things like that. And that's it. And I think these things are so long that you need people that really love it, because you don't do it for the money.
How long was the process of, say, the first series?
So started the pilot first week in January, and eventually it went to series start of October. So we were pretty much in full time from January till about August.
It's very interesting we've been talking about Tricked, because actually in my research, you've been doing another show as well.
Yeah.
For Discovery, Breaking Magic. So I'm very interested, first of all, to know why you haven't mentioned that, actually. I know Tricked is your baby. Was that more of just a gig? Because you were on with multiple
Well, do you know what? I think Tricked for me is where I've learnt the most. Right. Because I've seen something from conception to end. Whereas with Breaking Magic, and this is kind of Objective's baby, Breaking Magic was a show which they got commissioned from Discovery Channel, and the brief was they wanted 4 magicians to present a science show, but present it in a different way. So I was very much auditioned, and my creative input again is, I would turn up and they would say, and it's the same, I actually poached a lot of the team on Breaking Magic, came to work with me Series 1, which is why they had to change a lot of their team in Series 2, because they were working on my show. But they... it was paid to present, really. So you consult and you love it. I mean, the best thing about it, I was working with Wayne Houchin, Billy Kidd, James Gleer on the first series, Nate Staniforth on the second series. So it's a different animal, because it's not your baby, it's not your career on the line, really. If it goes well, it's great, but we could all walk away from it at the end of the day. We all had our own things going on as well in the background.
Sure. So it was more of a short-term project?
Yeah. I think on the second, we did 2 series now. On the second series, I think I did about 28 days total, as opposed to 7 months. So that's why if it feels like I don't mention it as much more than that. But it was an interesting show to make. So they commissioned a show called Breaking Magic, which makes us all go. And Wayne, we all sat around and went, are we setting ourselves in to be lied to and end up making a reveal show that we don't even know? Because you never know really how something's going to turn out in the end. Even to the point of the voiceover or the tone could present you in a nice light or in a bad light. You just don't know. So they put us at ease. And it was a really good project. And Nyman did some days on that, and Alexis Comran. And it was a great show to be a part of.
I think I would be ignoring the elephant in the room if I didn't ask you this. And that is that there are some magicians who were a little, I think is the word, offended by the fact the methods were revealed on the show.
Yep, so let's talk about that. I actually haven't had much feedback from it, simply because I don't mix in those circles, and I'd be happy to have them because I've got nothing to hide about it. So myself and Wayne especially, I mean, if anyone's as close to the magic world, it'd be Wayne Houchin. I mean, he lives and breathes magic and loves it. And he would never ever, and TV's not, you don't do it for the money, you do it because you enjoy the process. We would never have done anything that we felt was bad for the art. So the premise of the show, just to clear it up, is using science, making it look like magic, and then saying that looks really magical, but it's actually science. Where magicians get confused is they turn it on for a brief second, or they don't really watch it and they just read a write-up about it, because a lot of journalists wrote it up wrong and they didn't really know how to. And what they want it to be is they want it to be a revealed show. So that's how they try and sell it, but it's not. And our logic for this was we would never use a method that other people would actually use. So if anything was like a trick that actually exists, we wouldn't do it. I mean, I'll just try and give you an example. Okay, so we did something in the second series where we locked Wayne in a bunch of chains and threw him in a tank of water. And then I threw in a bag of keys, and he had to sift through the bag of keys to get to unlock himself and get out of the water, right? So you can go, well, that's a magic trick, and if you reveal the method was that all the keys were gallium, so they melted in warm water. The tank was heated up to a really hot temperature, so the keys melted, bar one, which was the actual key.
Right, okay.
So what that started was, right, how do we explain to people that gallium is quite an interesting metal that melts in water? Right, actually, if we perform it like that, it looks like magic. So in no way has that ruined any part of magic. Yeah, I personally didn't feel like we'd revealed anything in that show, but hey-ho.
So here's the big thing for me with tricks,
Go on.
is that you landed a second series.
Yes.
What do you think was the difference maker? Why did you get a second series?
One thing that helped is it won an award. It won British Broadcast Digital Best Entertainment Show on a digital channel, which sometimes that helps. The bottom line is, as Anthony Owen pointed out in his book, money is the factor. It got good views, and it meant that they could get good advertising, so it was worth investing. Right. So the question is, why did we get quite good views? And I think the answer, and we've thought about this a lot, and it's something I really find interesting. Okay, a lot of magic shows you can only watch if you like magic, right? So Dynamo, if you like him or not, it doesn't matter. If you don't like magic, you can't enjoy Dynamo's show because it's a magic show. Same with Troy, to a degree. Same with Darren. If you don't like that side of mind read, you can't really enjoy it. Now you could argue that his latest thing, like the portrait stolen, actually appeals to a wider market. So, but what Tricked is, because the magic is quite downplayed, and it's at the heart of it, it's got comedy, hidden camera, pranks, and celeb. You can, if you hate magic but you like pranks, you can watch it. If you hate magic but you like seeing celebrities, you can watch it. If you hate magic but you like comedy, you can watch it. So all of a sudden, people that would normally never tune into a magic show, it broadens the potential target. And I think the biggest thing that ITV noticed is that ITV is a very female-led channel, right, and magic on TV is very male-led. So if you look at the demographic for Dynamo, it's very male-orientated followers, because magic in general is on TV. Whereas, because I was on essentially a female-led channel, it found that couples were sitting down and watching it together. And I've actually had a couple magicians come up to me and say, "This is, it's great because I can finally get my missus to sit down and watch a magic show." So I think it's about just making it more than just magic and able to have a bigger market, which I think is actually really interesting when you take that to a live environment. If you can make your live show more than just the tricks, then maybe you can appeal to people that maybe wouldn't normally come and see it.
It's nearly half time. We're going to have to hear some messages from our sponsors.
From who's your sponsor?
You might know him, actually. Gigio. Gigio! Sorry, it's always meant to be said like this. Gigio!
Is that because that's how Martin says it?
Yeah, he tells me to say it like that.
It's crap, innit, Gigio?
No, it's not.
It's
can't
really.
Say this.
It's really good. I use it.
Here's a message from Gigio.
I do use it.
Gigio, free for 30 days. Be a pro, get Gigio.
Bloody Hanlin, TV star, bad-mouthing Gigio. Unbelievable. And I know for a fact he's never used it. And the reason I know he's never used it is because he's got a manager. He said that himself in the interview. He's not running his diary, is he? But that is one of the great features of Gigio, ladies and gentlemen. It updates your diary automatically. So you don't have to worry about putting all your contract together and then putting it in your diary as well. It will do it automatically. Also, it's web-based, so you don't need to be carrying your laptop with you everywhere if you get a gig abroad or something like that. If you've got access to the internet, you can access all of your contracts, all of your invoices, all of your bookings, full details through the Gigio website. Check it out right now, gigio.co.uk. That's Gigio, spelled GIGGIO.co.uk. Also, this is the best bit. It's not going to cost you a penny if you check it out today. There is a free 30-day trial. So get on board right now and check out gigio.co.uk.
The Magicians Podcast, brought to you in association with the Magic Circle, the world's premier magical society. Are you ready to join the world's most exclusive magic club? Visit themagiccircle.co.uk to find out more.
It's good, that Gigio, isn't it?
It's a great jingle as well. Do you like the jingle?
Yeah. I just signed up now during the break.
Have you?
The jingle's fantastic.
And just to let you know, I know you've signed up, but that's a free 30-day trial, so first month you don't have to pay a penny.
I know. I've also done that thing where I've automatically cancelled it.
Yeah, that always annoys them, doesn't it?
No,
So
it is good. It is good.
it's very good. So you get the second series of tricks.
Yes.
And obviously then you're out there working as well.
Yep.
And you've got the management behind you.
Yep.
Tell me a little bit about how the gigs change.
So, again, every TV magician's different. For me, when I'm in Tricked, so this year I started Tricked on the 6th of January and I finished it on the first week of September. I pretty much am in the office 5 days a week. So we're currently here in ITV Studios now, and I'll come in here every day with Martin and Nigel, and I pretty much just shut my books down for 6 months. So when I'm in here, I'm here for like 6 months, 5 days a week. We make a conscious effort of pretty much shutting everything else down, because, and this is a conversation that me, Nigel and my manager all took together and said, look, well, I could go off and do loads of things and try and spread myself thin, or I could just nail a second series, and if that's better, then the other things will come anyway. So that was very much a priority of going, look, as long as you're making strong TV, everything else will come. So it's more of a slowly approach, really.
Yeah. So you get these are much higher profile gigs, though, right? In terms of
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I don't. I tell what's really interesting, actually.
you doing a cabaret, or are you still occasionally doing walk
Yeah,
around
no,
post
I
up,
tend to do. I've moved more into the corporate, so I do a 20 or a 30-minute stage now, and it's not massively inventive, if I'm honest. It's kind of, it's you toss that deck, it's my needles. I do a thing with Canspo, something, it's.
The needles you've been doing since the street days, right?
Yeah. I learnt the needles out of necessity. So when I decided to go full time and I had no gigs, and I had to literally take to the streets in Stratford upon Avon to gig. I spent a few days in Covent Garden, and I just looked around and obviously tried to figure out what structure was. What is a normal structure of a street act? And essentially, it's 40 minutes of build or 30 minutes of build. And the question was, what did I want to build to? And I didn't want to do cups and balls because I felt it'd been overdone. And I thought, what fits me and what can I play with? What can I reset? What can I carry around on my back quite easily? And I ended up seeing the needles, and I just loved it. And I learnt Steve Spill's needles, which is Confessions of a Needle Swallow, which is brilliant. Hardly changed it since. And that trick is that trick's taken me all over the world, really.
So the second series has sort of finished recently. I want to talk about some of the things you've done on the series, because some of them are really interesting.
Okay.
So there's one that I watched and I really liked it, but I also kind of went, "Oh, was that a bit too much?" Was the stunt with Blue?
Oh yeah.
Where you so if you haven't seen this, first of all, you should go and watch it now on YouTube. It's brilliant. Effectively, Ben. Blue is a band, a boy band, and Ben
man band.
They're a bit older now, and Ben got one of them on side, and they planned to sort of fake an accident where it looked like one of them had been killed, effectively. And Ben walked up to him and spilt a glass of water over his crotch while they were doing a photo shoot. He goes off to the caravan with Ben, which is just off to their left, and the caravan suddenly, the brake fails, and the caravan rolls off a cliff. Now, the thing for me is these three other guys, the band, they freak out like you just wouldn't believe, don't they?
Yeah, and I think, can I just point out, actually, just for the record, if you do watch that clip, notice you will see me shut the door to the caravan and the caravan roll off the cliff. Will start to roll off the cliff in the same shot. So it's one shot. There's no cuts there.
Nice.
Just I didn't know if anyone noticed that. I'm sure magicians don't even care about cuts in TV editing. Anyway, right. So
what was that like to do that?
Okay.
And when you, I mean, one of the members of the band literally is almost in tears.
Yeah. So let's just start with that. So look, I'm completely aware it's not everyone's cup of tea, and from my point of view, and again, this is why we're talking about the kind of people that work on the show. That's very much my sense of humour, in the sense that I kind of think with celebrities, they will get paid to do all sorts. They're kind of fair game, in my opinion. And I'm always so used to seeing celebrities being kept cool, and they're always in control. I really want, the whole point of the show is to see what happens to these people that you think you know when they're put in extreme situations. And for me, when we approached this like a prank show, I've also thought, if we're going to do pranks, let's do pranks that haven't been done. Let's not just take a prank that we all know and make it a magic version. Let's do a prank that's never been done. So I had never seen a prank ever on British TV go that far. I mean, I don't know if you have. But,
no, likewise. Yeah.
So I thought, if we pull this off, it will be something that people will talk about. And we did it. And I understand people think it's too harsh. If that's the case, I just think we've got different sense of humours, and the trick might not be for you. But what I found really, really interesting, right? We filmed that, and we were on a real high afterwards. Because we got it and we watched it back, and we thought we got something different. I have never ever seen a magic trick cause that reaction ever, and I think that's really interesting because I'm a fan of TV magic. I'm a fan of magic in general, and you're so used to thinking that the only way to watch magic now is to watch people going, "Oh my God, you are the best person in the world. You are amazing." This didn't do that. This allowed me to use magic as a vehicle again to cause something which nobody else could do. A prankster couldn't have done what we did because they wouldn't have been able to have the magic technique to convince people that. So it's using our skill to create a reaction that I'd never seen magic do, and it kind of took magic in a different place, really.
How did the boys react?
So what's really interesting when you plan a big stunt like that, and it's a massive stunt, you've got stunt coordinators, and essentially you're dealing with a live environment with 3 unknown people. I mean, we know they are, but we don't know how they're going to react, and the edge of a cliff, and a 4-ton moving caravan. So there's actually a load of stuff that could go wrong with it, and we tried to map out all the scenarios. Right, they could run after it, they could stop there, they could do this. So, I mean, we actually positioned, they were sat on hay bales. We deliberately positioned the hay bales so they had a view of the caravan at all times, so they knew that where he was and they could see it moving. But we also had to position them that if they started sprinting from the moment the caravan moved, they couldn't get to the edge of the cliff in time, so they'd be safe. Anyway, so the caravan started moving, and all 3 of them bolted towards the caravan. And they moved a lot faster than we thought, to the point where one of them skidded when he got to the end of the cliff and almost went over the cliff. Yeah. And we spoke to him afterwards. And I said, "What were you trying to do?" And in his mind, Lee Ryan, his goal was to try and get to the caravan and try and stop it. So he was trying to put a hand on the caravan. Yeah. And if he'd have put his hand on it and got caught, he'd have gone over the cliff and died.
Well, that was what crossed my mind when I watched it.
But we didn't know this. I mean, we had safety procedures. We had safety hands on by that were ready to jump out of bushes and grab them and literally take them down if it was getting dangerous.
The door falling open, was that planned?
No, it wasn't planned. No, it was completely by accident. Because what you would normally do, right? If you were going to do this, any magician would go, right, we need to buy 2 caravans, one to test it all and one for the live. But TV goes, well, we can only afford 1 caravan. Right. So we don't even know how the caravan's going to react when it starts going down a hill. It might have stopped. It might. So yeah, it was interesting. And then he kind of dropped to his knees, and then we revealed it. And yeah, it's actually something I'm quite proud of, because magically you go, well, it's a vanish and a reappearance. But actually for that, it proves that it's live, and you're seeing magic in a different light, which,
Yeah, we left that out, but the end of the reveal at the end is that the band member and Ben have supposedly gone into the caravan. You revealed in the hay bales.
Yeah, so what was supposed to happen was they were sitting on hay bales, and if they'd have stayed there, we would have popped up next to them on the hay bales they were sitting on. So essentially they've been sitting on us. which kind of is impressive. But because they bolted so fast, they were nowhere near us. In theory, if we were doing that again, we would have put hay bales near the edge of the cliff and we would have bolted up there. But you can't predict that.
When you reach a massive audience like you have, you're going to have your fans, people who love you.
Yeah.
But also it opens you up to criticism.
Yeah, big time, yeah.
Did you have a plan before the series even began, how you were going to deal with that? Did you decide not to look at certain things because there would definitely be...
you know what? I can't. Maybe it's in my nature, but it's like anything, isn't it? You can get 100 nice comments, but you dwell on the one negative. And I think it's the same. If you did a gig, if you came off stage and 1,000 people tapped you on the shoulder and said you were brilliant, but one bloke said, I didn't like that, that's what you're going to go home thinking about. And it's no different on social media. It's just the fact that you're giving... What you have to remember is you're listening to people who you don't know, and you probably shouldn't most of the time be valuing their opinion, you know? Because it's probably some 10-year-old kid in Leeds that's never watched Magic that goes, you're trying to be Dynamo, you're rubbish. And you go, okay, well, that's not... And you thing is, you brush all that off. You don't really care about that. The stuff that hits and resonates, actually, is the stuff from the Magic community more so.
Right.
Because those are people who have knowledge on your industry. And, you know, as much as people are thick-skinned and go, I don't really care what magicians think, I don't do this for magicians, blah, blah. It's a bonus if your peers can go, oh, that was quite nice what you've done there. That's because you respect their opinion. And I completely get it if people don't like the show, because, you know, I don't think magicians should have to like everything, because you're people too. You can go, actually, that style's not for me. It's when certain magicians say things that they don't really know about, or you think that they should kind of know better. And I've actually had people that I considered friends say stuff on Facebook in public forums within like 2 weeks of it being on, and it just makes you go, oh, I thought we were friends and you've done that, and you just reevaluate things. But hey, that's life, isn't it? Everyone gets that in any industry. So Go on, bring it up.
Well,
I know what you want to bring up. Come on, Richard.
Well, I don't
do
you
it.
do, actually.
Do
it's the editing thing.
Okay, go on.
So, you know, there are... I mean, I've had Russ Stevens on this podcast, and he's been very outspoken.
He's a massive fan of me and all TV shows. No, he's all right.
The editing debate of that some magic shows use editing that is cheating or is removing the method. You've obviously had that possibility put in front of you. What's your... Yeah,
so me and Russ actually at International, we had a debate. So it wasn't supposed to be a debate. It was supposed to be a Q&A. And it turned into... And you know what? Like the thing is with Russ, he's very passionate about what he's spent his life doing. And I think, you know, we agreed to respectfully disagree, and that's cool. And I wish him and James and all the best. But I think... Look, I'm going to end up just repeating what Anthony Owen said, so you can go back and listen. Look, it's a different vehicle, so it has different rules. What I find really interesting about TV is there's actually a load of really interesting things that go on in making a TV show that you can take to stage that makes you a better performer. But we never talk about it because this is the topic that everyone wants to talk about. Do you know, like, there's topics that I scream at. Like, I hate stooges in live shows.
Right.
I hate them. Like, but we never talk about that. Because, like, look at Copperfield show. There's parts of Copperfield show that I hate and I actually think are terrible. And I think as a community we need to go, that's not really right. But because certain
Which bits in particular?
Okay, so any time where you are claiming you're bringing somebody up out of the audience that you've never met before, but they are on the payroll, I don't like that as a philosophy.
Do you feel, let me ask you this then, he brings a lady up from the audience, who's a lady from the audience, and he flies with her.
Yeah.
That lady is not a lady from the audience.
Yes.
Do you not? It's because it's the flip side to the argument people would say about you with TV. Do you not understand why that is worth it for that moment where the girl flies with him?
Do you know why, right? Because what that woman is doing is she's on stage giving a reaction that is a rehearsed reaction that is acting. So the audience is looking to her for a reaction to validate what they're seeing, and she's lying to them. Now, you could argue, hey, our job is to lie. Fine. But I think our job is actually really simple. Our job is to perform, whether it be on a stage, close-up, street, TV, to a group of people or to a person, and get a reaction out of them. Now, whatever the reaction you want, you might want them to laugh, cry, be amazed, say you're the best person ever. Whatever the reaction is. If you have to pay that person to say that, then I don't really see the point in doing the trick in the first place, really, and that's my gripe with that. And actually, the debate there actually isn't about TV. The debate is faking reactions. And I think if we did it on TV, if I stood on TV and I paid you to say, "Oh my God, man, that's amazing," you'd go, "Well, he's a fake." How is that any different to Copperfield bringing a boy out of the audience, teleporting him to see his dad? And I find it really weird that we've let that say is okay, but on TV it's not okay to use a stooge. But you going back to the edit question.
Yeah, the edit question.
So just to be clear, we've never used stooges or actors or anything like that. And my definition of a stooge or an actor is every reaction that you see is their reaction. We've not asked them to react to something else. We've not told them how to react. We've not just said, "Can you just pretend to be amazed and can you say this line?" Whatever they've actually done there is captured.
Yep.
Now, what is manipulated is some of the steps that I've done to get them to that reaction.
So you're talking about pre-show work?
Yeah. So not all the time. No, well, it's different. Hidden camera, no. Well, because you can't pre-show on hidden camera. But there are things. I mean, I'm talking actually more switches, methods, things that I've done to cause the effect. Now, I know that Russ makes a point of saying, look, trying to hide methods for YouTubers is pointless. Now, I know actually he wasn't talking about Tricked, because Tricked actually, there's a fundamental problem with filming Tricked, is when you film Tricked, so, okay, I'm sat opposite you, right? Now, if I was filming this in this room and it was rigged with hidden cameras, in each corner of the room would be a camera. So if I wanted to get from me doing the trick and then cut to your reaction, I physically have to change camera in the edit. So unfortunately, Tricked has to cut a lot by nature of it. Also, what happens in Tricked is a lot of it is an unplanned scenario. So you'll come into this room and we'll have a conversation. Now, let's say I'm doing something with your mobile phone. I don't know how long this conversation is going to be, and I don't know how much of it's going to be useful in the end. So by nature of it, anything that's boring will cut out, which is a very different way to script a trick. But I have no problems with cutting out a method so that when somebody winds it back, they can't see it, because the layman hasn't noticed the difference in my show in that sense. But look, I know we can go roundabout on this, and I think people.
I think you've articulated that really well, actually. So we'll leave it there. I do want to ask you what some of your favourite things are that you've done on Trick, because I mean, it's been obviously I can see how passionate you are about what you've created.
Yeah.
And
So for me, I guess it's things. Okay, so in the second series, I made Joey Essex think I built a time machine, and people often go, "It's not very hard to trick him." But from a magic point of view, so our goal for series 2 was to make the magic more visual and make it funnier. So make the whole show funnier. So to create we did a moving car vanish, which I hadn't seen on British TV for a long time, and I was really proud of that and thought, wow, that looks like actual illusion.
That's a pyro that goes off as it vanishes.
It vanishes.
That's amazing.
It was a real tough shoot. So me and Martin and Nigel were there the day before, rigging the whole environment. And the good thing is, we're honest. We tell people this is my environment that I've rigged, and putting convincers in so that it looks.
But the amazing thing is with that car vanish is that does look like a camera trick, but actually it isn't.
So this was the real. So we walked away from that. So if you go back, if you get a chance to watch it, I was really worried that the viewer is going to go, "Oh, he's just done a car vanish," because it kind of vanishes at a square point, and you just kind of wonder if you've just done, which actually you could have done. But the only thing that really validates it is that you cut to his reaction, and he's there going, "Where the hell's that car just gone?" Now, that's the linchpin that holds it all together, which actually goes back to my point of actors. If you believe that, then you believe everything else. If you don't believe that, then you might as well have saved the money and done a camera trick, because there's no point,
Yeah.
Little things make me laugh. Like I did something. So what I like about some of the stuff we did is that we've done things that hook you in a different way to normal magic. So I did a thing where I convinced somebody they bought an Xbox, and I've actually sold them dodgy potatoes. And this girl, she's a really sweet girl, comes into the shop.
It's a European girl, is it?
Yeah, and she starts swearing at me that I've conned her. And it was really fun, because I'm just winding her up.
But you were having a lot of fun there.
It was really... And then right at the end, I do an appearance where I do... it was based on Regal's... what was it? What's his... where you make
the card box, isn't it?
Yeah,
kind of thing.
it was basically... where you make the card box print instantly. It was really based on that, but very loosely in the end. And we turned it into... I instantly printed an Xbox box and then shut it, and then instantly the Xbox console was inside. So the magic isn't amazing. It's not walking on water or anything like that. But as a piece, I go, that's really fun.
Yeah.
I can be able to a few things like that.
You've obviously always performed live, and like you said at the start, you do street entertaining, and you're now doing cabarets at corporate. Have you got any interest in doing a live show for the public?
Yeah, I do actually. It was something on the cards we've already talked about this year was going out and do, and it's actually just by sheer coincidence. It was before Dynamo announced anything. I think there isn't really a magician that you can, and I'm not going to count Darren in this because I don't think the public see him as a magician, but there's not really a magician that has toured the country in years that people can go and see as a household name, or as the public can see. Now you could argue, well, there have been, because you've got your Pete Furmans on tour, you've got your Ali Cooks, you've got I know John Archer, all that they do. But actually, as someone that can go, I'm going to do a 2,000-seater venue and I'm going to sell it out. And fortunately, with TV, it allows you to do that. So the plan is, and I think the Darren model's amazing. I think what Darren's done is fantastic, and he does a show and then a tour, and then a show and then a tour. And I think, long term, that would definitely be a goal of mine to try, because I like doing live stuff. I find it quite fun. And it's
big in scale, or have you ever done sort of bigger scale stuff?
So, what do we say big? I was trying to think what the biggest audiences I played to. Probably like 2,000, 3,000.
I know I was on about scale in terms of the size of the tricks.
Do you know what? I think...
On Tricked means, like we talked about earlier, the caravan stuff. There are some big scale stuff.
Yeah, so do you know what? I've been looking at this, and you kind of, and I tell you, I'm really interested to see how Dynamo does his show. Simply because I'm interested if they're going to go for size, or if they're going to go for another hook, or are they going to go for intimate somehow. There's an interesting thing in. Someone was telling me this actually. A tour manager that I was talking to. He said, when it comes to production, the less the talent's got, they call it the performer the talent. Unless the talent has got to offer, the more production you tend to go for. So if you look at an X Factor, because I'm dealing with at the moment the people that run X Factor tours, you look at an X Factor tour, they usually have all the lights, all the dancers, all the podiums, because the acts are so green and so new, they need to dress it up that way. Whereas if you look at other acts, you look at a band like Oasis, it's 4 guys, microphones, and that is it, So it's, I've been looking at, I'm weighing up the pros and cons, and part of you goes, I could do this. But I guess it comes to, okay, sorry, in answer to your question, really boring, what I would do is, I'd look at my tour budget, I'd look at the budget for the show, and I'd work backwards from that.
Yeah.
And if I had 30 grand to play with, I'd play with it. But I actually don't think, I really envy comedians, because us magicians, we get really bogged down in what we bring to a gig and what there is. A magician has a microphone, a comedian has a microphone and a bottle of water, and he can sell out the O2. So if Mickey Flanagan or Michael McIntyre can do it, armed with a deck of cards and 3 or 4 props, surely that could be as powerful. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And I think Darren's a great... the answer is, I don't know. If it seems like a good idea and it fits with the overall theme, it could be any size, is a shorter answer.
Ben Hanlin, would you like to play the word association game?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Do I have a choice?
No.
Yes.
We are rapidly running out of time, so we have to do this quick.
Okay.
Actually, no, don't do this quick.
Why are we running out of time? You own it. It's your baby.
Because of bandwidth. I have to
do
pay.
you?
Yeah. Anyway.
Can't you get Gigio to give you more money?
Well, you know him better.
Martin, drop him a tenner. Come on, let's get some bandwidth.
Okay, so word association.
Yes.
So you can be as brief or as detailed as you
Fine, yeah,
want.
I've got it.
Let's start. Britain's Got Talent. And you did Britain's Got Talent.
Britain's Got Talent 2010. Okay, Britain's Got Talent. It's good for certain acts, not good for others. In brief, any talent show, not any talent show. This Britain's Got Talent, X Factor. If you really want to be taken as a credible long-term act, my general rule is don't go on that. Go play the long game. You look at Darren. Would he be as successful now if he was a runner-up somewhere than kind of coming up and giving something because he's actually deserves it on his own? So that's I could talk a whole topic on those kind of things. But for certain acts, you look at the Illusion Act. That's a great vehicle for them because 3 or 4 minutes is perfect.
Yeah.
It's very hard to commission a series of 6 hours of illusions, but 4 minutes is great.
You work for ITV, so you probably have to be a little bit
I don't work.
careful,
I'm a freelance.
but did you have a good experience on Britain's Got Talent?
I had a brief experience, to be honest. I got 3 yeses. I think I was one of the first magicians to get 3 yeses. 2010, before David Penn did it and any other magicians. I was brief. It wasn't much of an experience. I couldn't go in with the illusions that they wanted, and it was fine. And looking back, it was great, and I'm really glad that it kind of worked out differently, like this way, because it allowed me to start again and not go in on that route. And I think as well, if you come from Britain's Got Talent, your next thing has quite a lot of pressure on it. So anyway, it's a different story.
Dynamo.
Great for magic, most of the time.
The Magic Circle. You've just been promoted, haven't you?
Yeah, AIMC. The Magic Circle, fantastic reputation. I would love a few little improvements.
What? No, go on. Yeah.
Okay, I go to the Magic Castle in LA, and it's like being a kid. You walk in, and the moment you're there to walking through a moving bookcase, you're in this world of brilliance and creativeness and quirkiness. And I just go, and I love taking friends and family to the Magic Castle, because I go, look, isn't magic brilliant? And you can see some of the best people in the world here. And tourists from all over America go to the Magic Castle as a place to celebrate magic. And I just feel that we haven't quite got that yet at the Magic Circle.
Sorry, it's off topic, but who are some of your favourite magicians?
Penn and Teller.
Yeah?
I've got to say Blaine simply because he inspired a whole generation, and I'm in that generation. Rune Clan, who Andy Gladwin mentioned in his podcast, which was a very good podcast actually. Rune Clan is a genius, absolute genius. Who else do I like? Who have I seen recently? I'm just trying to think. Matt King. Matt King's phenomenal show. If you ever go to Vegas, go to Matt King's show. It's like $15 with a beer.
Do you like Vegas?
Yeah, love it. Yeah.
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 Have you seen some stuff in Vegas? You didn't like Copperfield's show.
No. Can I just? I love Copperfield. I think Copperfield's a brilliant. He's one of the best magicians ever to walk the face of the world. But at the same time, when it comes to stooging, as a rule, I don't like it. And just because he does it, I don't think that everyone. It's not accepted just because someone else does it. Do you know?
Yeah. It's. I don't know if you can say some. Is Tricked going to get Series 3? Do you know that yet?
Not sure yet. Hopefully.
It's
It's sold to quite a few countries, so hopefully that helps.
And so what other things have you got lined up in the future?
So hopefully more TV. So I guess the big thing, I've not really talked about this to anyone.
Oh, hang on. Is this an exclusive?
Yeah, I guess so.
Boom.
Boom, here you go. It's not that exciting. Myself and Nigel Mead have just set up a production company.
Oh, right.
So we are going to write, and we've written over probably 20 shows. And our job, when we're not busy doing all this stuff, is to write and create and pitch TV shows, which some will be magic based, because I still think there's actually a lot of magic that hasn't been done on TV. Hooks, twists, spins on things that we know, or things that we've done in the past that need updating. Things that aren't right for me, but are right for maybe a magician. And maybe we could come up with, if we could find the next Darren or the next Help My Supply Teacher's Magic or whatever it is. It's essentially doing what Anthony Owen does at Objective. And we're really excited by that, because we've got momentum at the moment, in the sense that other people I've had some fairly big meetings with some big production companies. They're listening to us at the moment because we're kind of flavour of the month. So if we can come up with the next Tricked and the next one after that and the next one after that, it could be really interesting. And then long term, we want to come up with shows that have got nothing to do with magic. And I've even this week, just written a game show and a few other things. And I find that really interesting. And at the moment, it's a real passion project, and we're hoping to get investment and have offices and staff, and who knows.
And to take it full circle, you're only 28 years old, which is just extraordinary. Ben, congratulations, honestly,
thank you so
on
much.
All of your achievements and everything. I really appreciate you doing this.
Thanks.
I'm
a big fan. I've listened to them all.
That's really kind of you. And just good luck with everything in the future. I think you're brilliant for magic.
Oh, thank you very much, Richard.
There you go. That's Ben Hanlin, everybody. That was Mr. Ben Hanlin from ITV2's Tricked. Ben, thanks so much for your time and hospitality. Really appreciate you doing the interview. Thanks also to Martin Rowland, his magic consultant on the TV series and creator of Gigio, for arranging the interview. Much appreciated, Martin. If you'd like to discuss the content of the interview, go to our Facebook page. Just search for The Magicians Podcast. I would love to see a conversation going on there with regards to this episode or any of the others. Thanks very much for tuning in. We will see you again next week.